Dan, how big a deal is that when the Home Builders Association is saying, nope, not us?
Obviously, you want every interest group possible to be on your side. And I can understand why the home builders guy, I mean, he's in charge of defending his little piece of the swamp. And obviously, when you then combine that with all the other swamp creatures trying to preserve the existing system, that's one of the reasons why this tax reform effort is so difficult. But here's the thing I would say as an economist. It is not good for the long-term health of our economy when the tax code tilts the playing field so that you have more investment in housing and less investment in business, because that's where we actually get the jobs and the higher wages.
And, you know, I thought about it, by doubling, the standard deduction, that's part of housing. That's a benefit. He wanted credit besides. The difference, I will say, with the National Association of Home Builders and these guys is they have a lot of money. They can have a lot of influence on a lot of elections in a lot of districts, and maybe they can withhold that support. He was very coy about who he would go after and all, but he made it very, very clear that if you're for this, we're against you. So where's this going?
It means that you have some Republicans who are already very nervous about 2018 because they haven't repealed Obamacare, they haven't dealt with the entitlement problem, and now if they don't do something right on taxes, their voters will be upset with them. But if they do something that's right on taxes, the interest groups will be upset with them, which brings me back to the thing I've been complaining about from the very beginning. If Republicans had simply imposed some spending restraint, that would have freed up a lot of resources, a couple of $1 trillion, to do a much more bold, aggressive tax package where you wouldn't have had to step on so many toes in the swamp and get all these interest groups against you.
That's a very good analogy. And the one thing I'm seeing is this is getting tamer and tamer, more watered down by the minute. Now, I don't fault Republicans per se. I know the reality is that this has got to look like something resembling a balanced measure over the course of the next 10 years. But the fact of the matter is, they're doing a lot of cuts and allowances to make the figures work, which means that this generational tax reform isn't reform. At best, it might be a staggered tax cut, if we're to believe a lot of the reports on the corporate tax cut, phased in over many years. So what do you make of where this is all ultimately going?
Well, in my fantasy world, I want to rip up the entire Internal Revenue Code, have a flat tax. But I know that's not going to happen. So I'm not upset that we're doing sort of a halfway step. But I am upset that that halfway step is becoming a third-way step and then a quarter of the way step. And maybe when it's all over and done with, it'll only be a tenth of the way. And given that Russia's in the news right now, here's my deal. Why don't we send Podesta and Manafort and Hillary and Trump and Mueller and all these guys? Let's send them to Russia, and Russia can send us their 13% flat tax. Both countries might be better off as a result.
Do you think that this is in serious danger of not passing? We'll get all the details on Wednesday, and you and I could be wrong on a lot of these things we're fearing and getting worked up about right now. But is there a sense that you're getting with people you talk to, the distinct possibility this doesn't happen?
All it takes is, 25 or so Republicans, and of course, depending on whether you can get any Democrats in the House to vote with you, it only takes a relatively small handful of Republican House members to kill the deal. And likewise, you only have to lose 3 Republicans in the Senate to kill the deal, assuming no Democrats vote for the reform package. So I think this thing really is on a knife edge, even though, in my mind, it is so critical with our high corporate tax rate. We have so many very serious problems that this package, even though it's much more watered down than I want, it would solve and address some really critical problems that would be so beneficial for wage earners and the American economy.
I think, as you and I have gotten into it, something is better than nothing, right? I mean, when push comes to shove, it might not be your flat tax or across-the-board Reagan-type revolution stuff, but something is better than nothing. But we'll see.
That's sure.
Dan, always good seeing you, my friend. Thank you very much.